My sister stole my identity to get a mortgage, now I'm being sued for a house I've never seen. I never thought I'd be one of those people who posts here. You know the kind, long rant, way too many details, obvious red flags no one saw coming, with the word lawyer getting tossed around like confetti. But here I am. Buckle up. I'm being sued for a house I've never even seen. Not visited. Not walked past. Nothing. And the person who put me in this mess? My own sister. Let me back up. I'm 33M. I live a pretty quiet life, maybe too quiet by Reddit standards. I rent a small place just outside of Columbus, Ohio. Nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, but I've got my books, my PlayStation, and a coffee maker that makes mornings bearable. I work in IT, freelance mostly, and I like it that way. Flexible hours, low overhead, no office politics. I have one sister, let's call her Becca. She's 36, married, 2 kids, lives about an hour away. Growing up, we were close in the way siblings usually are when your parents work double shifts and you end up kind of raising each other. We shared Pop-Tarts and secrets. She'd braid my hair when I was little, don't judge, and I'd scare off any guy who broke her heart. But somewhere around our late 20s, things shifted. She got married to a guy I never really clicked with. Todd. The kind of guy who calls himself a hustler but has a new job every 6 months. MLMs, crypto, consulting. Becca started dressing different, talking different. We didn't fight or anything, we just drifted. She became more about appearances, Facebook posts with staged family pics and captions like #blessed. I became more about keeping my head down and minding my business. Still, we stayed in touch. Holidays. Birthdays. The occasional, "Can you fix my Wi-Fi?" text. She knew I had good credit, I mean, I'm not rich or anything, but I've always paid off my cards, no debt, nothing fancy. She used to tease me about it. "You're so boring," she'd say. "Your bank statements probably wear beige." Flash forward to 3 months ago. I get a letter from a bank I don't use. Not a marketing letter, an official-looking envelope with too many legal words. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Then I saw my name and the word foreclosure in the same sentence, and I actually dropped my coffee. I called the number. I was transferred twice. Then some woman named Sharon told me, very casually, that I was delinquent on mortgage payments for a property in Dayton, a house I supposedly purchased 8 months ago. "Ma'am, I rent an apartment. I don't own any property." There was a pause. "Then, the loan is in your name, Mr. Taylor. We have your signature, ID, credit profile." I think that's when my brain short-circuited. I heard the words, but they didn't stick. How? Who? What? I won't bore you with the 6-hour spiral that followed, digging through my documents, pulling my credit report, huge mortgage listed, calling Equifax, and eventually, hiring a lawyer. His name's Greg. He's expensive and has the patience of a caffeinated squirrel, but he didn't laugh me out of the room when I explained everything. After I signed about 12 forms and paid a retainer that made my stomach turn, he got to work. A week later, he called me. "You're not gonna like this. Try me. The identity fraud started with your driver's license number and SSN. The application for the loan has a matching address to your old place, the one you lived at 5 years ago." My old place. The one where Becca used to crash on weekends when things got rocky with Todd. The place she had a spare key to. My heart dropped. "Are you saying?" "I'm not saying anything yet. But whoever did this knew enough about you to answer all the verification questions banks use. That's not random." I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. I kept replaying every conversation I'd had with Becca over the past few years, searching for clues. There was a weird moment last Thanksgiving when she asked if I'd ever consider investing in property. I laughed it off, made a joke about barely affording turkey. She said something like, "Well, with your credit, you could probably get a palace." At the time, I thought she was just making conversation. Now, it felt like a neon red flag I missed waving right in my face. I finally confronted her last week. I drove to her house, a cookie-cutter two-story in a neighborhood full of identical homes and playsets. She answered the door in yoga pants, holding a toddler on her hip, smiling like I was just dropping off cookies or something. "Hey. What brings you here?" I didn't even get inside. I said, "We need to talk. Right now." She blinked. "What's going on? Did you take out a mortgage in my name?" Her expression didn't change at first. Then came the laugh, too high, too quick. "What? No. Why would I do that?" "Because I'm being sued for defaulting on a loan for a house in Dayton. And all the paperwork points to me, but I've never even been to Dayton." She didn't answer. She just shifted her toddler to the other hip and glanced over her shoulder like she hoped someone would come interrupt us. "Becca. Please. Just tell me the truth." Silence. Then, barely above a whisper, "It was just supposed to be temporary." I swear the world stopped moving. "What?" She looked like she might cry, but her voice stayed weirdly steady. "We couldn't get approved. Todd's credit is garbage, and I didn't want the kids growing up in a rental. It was supposed to be a bridge, we were gonna refinance in our names after a year. We just needed to get through the loan process. You stole my identity." "No. I mean, okay, maybe yes, but it wasn't like that. You weren't using it. You live in a shoebox and have zero debt. You don't even want a house. I want my life back." She actually had the nerve to get defensive. "You have no idea what it's like raising a family. We were desperate. Todd lost his job again, and I had no options. It's not like we were trying to screw you." I stood there, blinking at my sister, the same person who used to braid my hair and cry during The Lion King, and all I could think was, "I don't know you at all." I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just turned around and walked back to my car. And now? Now I'm stuck. I'm fighting foreclosure on a house that isn't mine. My credit is trashed. I might be on the hook for a six-figure loan unless we can prove fraud, which is complicated when the fraudster shares your DNA. Greg says we have a case, but it won't be easy. Or cheap. I haven't told my parents yet. They always treated Becca like the golden child, and I'm afraid they'll somehow blame me for making a fuss. So, yeah. That's my life now. Identity theft by my own sister. Any advice? Any at all? Because right now, I feel like I'm drowning. And the person holding my head underwater is the last one I ever expected. I didn't sleep again that night. My brain wouldn't shut up. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Becca's face, calm, almost casual, as she admitted to stealing from me like it was a white lie or borrowing a hoodie. I kept waiting to feel something definitive, like maybe I'd land on pure rage, or betrayal, or even heartbreak. But it was all jumbled together, like someone had tossed my insides into a blender and hit puree. Greg filed the initial fraud complaint the next day. He also reached out to the bank to initiate a fraud investigation. It's a weird, surreal process. On one hand, they don't want to admit they got conned. On the other, once we handed over proof I wasn't even living in the same city as the house when it was purchased, they started moving, slowly. Then came the emails. From Todd. I hadn't spoken to him in probably a year. And now suddenly I'm getting messages like, "Hey man, I know you're mad. Totally understandable. But maybe we can work something out. Becca is devastated. She thought you'd be more understanding. We didn't mean harm. Family is supposed to help each other. This is just a bump." A bump. I didn't even reply. I sent the emails to Greg, who added them to our file. But I couldn't stop replaying the wording. More understanding. Like I was being dramatic. Like I was the problem. About a week later, Becca called me. I let it ring the first 2 times, then answered on the third. I don't know why. Curiosity. Closure. "Hey," she said, soft like we were 10 again and she was asking to borrow my Nintendo. "I gave everything to my lawyer," I said. "We're going to court." Silence. Then, "I didn't want it to go this far." "You made it go this far." She sighed. "Todd says we can try to refinance again. If we do, you'll be off the loan, and it'll be like it never happened. That's not how credit reports work. Or criminal law. More silence. Then, in the smallest voice I've ever heard from her, "Are you going to press charges?" That stopped me cold. Because until that moment, I hadn't really thought about it. I mean, technically, yes, we were pressing forward with a civil suit, and the bank might escalate things further depending on how this played out. But me, personally, filing charges, testifying, watching her get cuffed, I don't know. I wish I could say the answer was easy. But the truth is, even after everything, the betrayal, the lies, the financial nightmare, there's still a piece of me that remembers watching Matilda with her under a shared blanket on a stormy night, eating popcorn we made in a busted microwave. There's still a part of me that remembers calling her Bex and letting her paint my nails when I was 7. And I hate that. I hate that she still has that kind of hold on me. I didn't answer her question. I just said, "I have to protect myself now." She cried. Quietly. Not hysterics, just soft weeping like she knew this was the point of no return. Then she hung up. That weekend, my parents called. My mom opened with, "We heard you're suing your sister. Is that true?" No hello. No, how are you? Just straight into the fire. I felt like a kid again, standing in the kitchen after breaking a plate, waiting to be scolded. "Yes," I said. "She stole my identity." My dad cut in. "She said it was a misunderstanding. She committed federal fraud. You know she wouldn't do that unless things were really bad, right?" That's when something in me snapped. Just a small crack, but it was enough. So if I rob a bank because I'm broke, that's okay too. That's not the same thing. Isn't it? They didn't answer. I told them I couldn't talk anymore and hung up. Then I sat on my couch, in the quiet, and realized something I hadn't before. They weren't just trying to protect her. They genuinely couldn't comprehend that she did something wrong. In their eyes, Becca was still the one who helped cook dinner at 12, who got straight A's, who married young and gave them grandkids. I was the weird one. The quiet one. The one who never needed anything. And maybe, in their minds, that meant I could afford to take the hit. But I can't. My credit score plummeted by 130 points. I got a letter from my landlord saying they'd seen the foreclosure notice and were monitoring the situation. I might lose my lease. My freelance clients are getting nervous. One already dropped me, until things settle down. All because my sister decided I wasn't using my life properly. It's like someone walked into your room, put on your clothes, stole your wallet, bought a mansion, crashed a car through the front door, and then asked why you were being so harsh about it. And here's the worst part, I still miss her. Or maybe I miss who I thought she was. I don't even know anymore. Greg says the next few months will be hell. Depositions. Bank reps, possibly court. The works. If it gets picked up by a prosecutor, Becca could be charged with felony identity theft, wire fraud, and a dozen other things I can't pronounce. And I'm stuck in this awful in-between place, heartbroken brother, reluctant plaintiff, accidental villain in my own family. I didn't ask for this. But I'm learning that sometimes, you don't get to choose when the line gets drawn. You just have to decide which side you're willing to stand on. Update 1, a lot of you said I was being too soft, maybe you're right. First, wow. I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. I posted this mostly to get the mess out of my head. I didn't think anyone would read it, let alone comment. But your responses, hundreds of them, hit me hard. Some supportive, some brutally honest. A lot of you told me I was too soft, that I needed to stop making excuses for Becca, and that this wasn't just family drama, it was a crime. I've been rereading those comments at night when I can't sleep. Which is often, lately. Some things have happened since the original post. Greg, my lawyer, managed to push the bank into pausing foreclosure proceedings temporarily. Emphasis on temporarily. The bank is investigating internally, but they're dragging their feet because they don't want to admit they handed a six-figure loan to someone using a stolen identity with fake documents. And yes, we now have proof that the documents were faked. Driver's license scan. Altered. Utility bill. Fabricated. W-2. Forged. It's surreal. I keep looking at these papers with my name and my social and my address, but none of it is real. It's like someone built a parallel version of me out of cardboard and duct tape. And that someone was Becca. She hasn't reached out again. But Todd did. Again. This time, he showed up. At my apartment. I was coming back from the grocery store when I saw him sitting on the steps by the front door, looking like the poster child for poor decision-making, sweatpants, sunglasses, and a Red Bull in one hand like it was a business meeting. "Hey man," he said, like we were frat brothers or something. I didn't answer. I walked right past him and opened the front door. He followed me in. I told him he had 30 seconds before I called the cops. "You really gonna do this to your own sister?" he asked, eyebrows up like I was the unreasonable one. "She did it to herself. She was trying to build something for our family. You know how hard it is out there." I turned and said, "I do. That's why I don't steal." Then he hit me with the line that made my blood go cold. "You think your life's so important that a house loan is the worst thing someone could take from you?" I told him to get out. He did, but not before leaving a note under my door later. It said, "You're not thinking long-term. You'll regret this when you're alone." Nice guy, huh? Greg filed a restraining order request the next day. We haven't heard back yet, but it's in motion. It probably won't amount to much unless Todd does something again, but still, paper trail. Also, just to clarify for the folks who asked, yes, we're pursuing both the civil side and cooperating with a potential criminal investigation. The bank's fraud team has opened a case. We sent them the evidence. Now we wait. Some of you asked why I haven't gone nuclear yet. Why I haven't marched down to the police station with handcuffs in my hand and a monologue ready. Here's the truth, I'm scared. Not for me. For what this will do to the rest of my family. My mom still calls every few days. She doesn't bring up the lawsuit anymore. She just asks if I've eaten. If I'm doing okay. There's a sadness in her voice that wasn't there before, like she knows the fracture is permanent now. Like she can feel the splintering happening beneath the surface and is trying to pretend it's not there. My dad hasn't called at all. I haven't told most of my friends yet. Only my best friend, Jared, knows the full story. He's furious on my behalf. He offered to help pay for legal fees if it came down to it. I said no, not because I'm proud, but because I need to own this mess if I'm going to survive it. And I will survive it. That's one thing I've started to believe, thanks in no small part to all of you. Someone left a comment that really stuck with me. I wish I could remember the username, but it said something like, "You can't heal in the same place you got hurt." That hit hard. So here's what I've done. Froze my credit with all 3 bureaus. Got a P.O. box. I don't trust my current address being connected to anything. Started therapy. 1 session in, and it was like someone opened a valve in my chest I didn't even know was locked. Cleaned out my social media. I went full digital ghost mode. Not just for privacy, but for peace. And the biggest change? I'm looking for a new place. New city. New lease. Maybe even a new job. Because even if I win this case, even if I get the foreclosure wiped and the fraud charges stick and my credit eventually recovers, I won't ever feel safe here again. Not when the people who were supposed to protect me turned out to be the ones who sold me out. I'm still not sure what I'll do about pressing charges personally. That might not even be up to me soon. If the DA picks up the case, it'll be out of my hands. But I do know this, I'm done waiting for Becca to apologize. She made her choice. And now I'm making mine. Thanks again for the tough love, Reddit. Sometimes the wake-up call has to come from strangers who don't care about Thanksgiving dinner dynamics. I'll keep you posted. Update 2, things got worse. Much worse. Hey again. Thought I'd update you all since a lot has changed. If you read the original post and my first update, you know things were already messy. But I didn't think it could get messy, eh? Then yesterday, I got served. Yup. I'm being sued. Not by the bank. Not by Becca. By the HOA of the property tied to the fraudulent mortgage. Apparently, I haven't paid dues in 6 months, and now they're trying to recover the debt plus late fees and legal expenses, around $9,400. I had to sit down when I read the damn thing. My own fake life is now dragging me into court. Greg, my lawyer, says we can fight it, but it's going to cost time and more money I don't really have. We're adding the HOA action to the fraud portfolio, and he's pressing the bank harder to formally acknowledge I'm not liable. But the legal gears move slow, and right now, I'm the name on record. That's not even the worst of it. The bank's internal fraud investigator, who's been relatively cooperative until now, sent us a notice that the loan default status may be reported to the IRS. Because in their system, a debt forgiveness event might occur once they close the case. And that triggers a 1099-C. You know what that means. They might send me a tax form saying I earned $240,000 in forgiven debt. I could end up owing income tax on a house I've never lived in, never seen, and didn't buy. Greg is working every angle. And honestly, he's been a rock. But I can tell even he's getting worried. Meanwhile, Becca. Radio silence. Todd. Also gone quiet, after I filed the police report last week. Yes, I finally did it. Walked into the precinct, handed over the file Greg prepped, and gave my statement. They were skeptical at first. Like they couldn't believe someone's own sister would do that. Then they saw the paperwork. Now, it's officially under review. Whether it gets passed to the DA is still pending, but the detective I spoke with seemed to take it seriously. He asked a lot of detailed questions. Asked if I thought Todd was involved in forging the docs. I said, absolutely. So yeah. That might be happening now. And here's where things get weird. I found out why they did it. Not just that we wanted a house thing. That never sat right with me. There are easier ways to lie to a bank than hijack your sibling's entire identity. Turns out, Todd is being sued by a former business partner for breach of contract and fraud. Their accounts were already being watched when they applied for the mortgage. Becca couldn't be the primary because her credit was wrecked. And Todd. Under legal scrutiny. So they used me. Because I was clean. Because I wasn't tied to any liabilities. Because I was the safe one. That broke something in me I didn't even know was still intact. I always knew Becca was selfish in little ways, showing up late, borrowing money she never paid back, making everything about her. But this was calculated. It wasn't desperation. It was strategy. And suddenly, the memories I'd been clinging to, watching Disney movies together, building blanket forts, her helping me learn to tie my shoes, all started to rot. I've stopped taking my parents' calls. Last week, my mom left me a voicemail sobbing. "You're tearing this family apart," she said. "You're ruining your sister's life." I didn't reply. I can't. Because the version of family she's talking about doesn't include me unless I'm being useful, silent, or sacrificial. And I'm not doing that anymore. The therapist I've been seeing, bless her patience, asked me what I want out of all this. I told her, peace. Just peace. No chaos, no guilt, Northwest mailboxes full of court notices with my name on them for their decisions. She said that peace might not come from a resolution, but from acceptance. I think I'm starting to understand what she meant. I've lost my sister. Maybe not legally, yet, but emotionally. She's gone. The version of her I knew isn't real anymore. Maybe it never was. Maybe I just projected the sister I wanted onto someone who was always going to take more than she gave. So now I'm trying to rebuild. Carefully. New apartment search is still on. Credit is wrecked, so options are limited. I've started sleeping on a friend's pull-out couch until I figure things out. And here's a small win, one of my clients rehired me after I explained what happened. They said, "We trust you, not your credit score." That meant more than I can put into words. Also, to whoever commented on the last update and said, "Your worth isn't tied to how well you keep the peace in a broken family," you have no idea how badly I needed that. I screenshotted it. Read it every morning. Thank you. Anyway. I'll keep you all updated. And if any of you are thinking, this can't possibly get worse, please don't. The universe takes that as a challenge. Update 3, I thought the worst was behind me, then I found out the house was never meant for Becca. I don't even know how to start this one. I thought the situation had reached its maximum level of absurdity. I was already drowning in paperwork, legal notices, tax threats, and existential dread. My sister was a ghost. My parents treated me like the villain. I'd finally started to wrap my head around the idea that this wasn't just a screw-up, it was a full-blown betrayal. But then I got a call from a woman named Kristen. She introduced herself as the attorney for the actual owner of the house. At first I thought, great. Another bank lawyer. But no, Kristen represents Todd's cousin. Apparently, the mortgage taken out in my name wasn't for Becca and Todd's forever home. It was a flip. They never intended to live there. It was an investment property. They were going to buy it, wait for the value to rise, renovate a few things with personal loans, also under my name, more on that in a second, and then sell it for profit. The proceeds were going to be split between Todd, his cousin, and another guy named Anthony. Becca was just there as the middleman. The house was never about family. Or building a home. Or a fresh start. It was a goddamn real estate scam. And I was the mark. Kristen only found my info because her client, Todd's cousin, is now being dragged into his own fraud investigation. The web is unraveling. Todd's other projects are falling apart, and now everyone's lawyering up and pointing fingers. Kristen said she thought I might be willing to testify if this goes to court. I almost laughed. Lady, I've got a whole file cabinet of receipts. And here's the real kicker, the house isn't even in good condition. It's not the dreamy suburban 4-bed Becca made it out to be. It's a half-finished flip in a transitional neighborhood that's been flagged twice for code violations. The HVAC is broken. The foundation's cracked. There are squatters in the garage. I looked it up on Zillow. It's hideous. Peeling paint, overgrown lawn, tarp on the roof. This is what my sister nuked my life for. This garbage. I can't even be mad at the house. It's just sitting there like a haunted monument to every lie they told me. And yes, about the personal loans, I found those too. Greg discovered that in addition to the mortgage, someone used my information to apply for 2 lines of credit from online lenders. One got denied. The other approved. $15,000. We think Todd used it to cover the down payment and pay his cousin under the table. So now we're dealing with identity theft across multiple institutions, not just the mortgage. Greg says this strengthens the criminal case and almost guarantees federal charges. Wire fraud. Bank fraud. Mail fraud. Identity theft. Conspiracy. The whole enchilada. I'm cooperating fully. At this point, I'm not doing it out of revenge anymore. I'm doing it for survival. Because if I don't draw the line here, there is no line. My name, my finances, my entire adult life, they're using it like monopoly money. And I'm done being the guy who understands. Who forgives. Who keeps the family peace. That guy got trampled. A few of you'd met me after the last update saying you went through something similar, a sibling, a parent, even a spouse who used your identity. One person said, it's like being mugged by a memory. That's exactly what this feels like. You reach back for comfort, and instead you get robbed. There was a moment this week, not dramatic, just quiet, where I realized I'm actually grieving. Not just the loss of trust or credit score, but the loss of a version of my family that only existed in my head. I'm grieving the fantasy. And that hurts more than anything. Because I wanted to believe my sister loved me. I wanted to believe our childhood meant something. That underneath all the adult crap, she still saw me as her brother, not just a tool to be used. But actions speak. And hers have been loud. Here's what's next. Greg is working with federal investigators now. There's a chance we might get restitution if charges go through. I'm testifying in a preliminary hearing next month, not against Becca yet, but Todd's cousin and the real estate scam component. We're close to settling with the HOA. They're willing to drop the suit if I can get official fraud confirmation from the bank, which we're pushing for daily. And me? I'm tired. Bone-deep tired. But weirdly, for the first time since this all started, I don't feel helpless. I'm angry. I'm sharp. I'm moving. My new apartment lease came through. It's a studio, not fancy, but it's mine. My name. My space. My air. No ghosts, no lies, no Todd. I picked up a framed print for the wall. Just a simple quote. It says, "You do not owe peace to those who profit from your silence." I read it every morning before I open my laptop. And it reminds me. This wasn't my fault. But how I rebuild. That part is mine. Final update, I'm not the same person I was, and I don't want to be. This will be the last time I post about this. Not because everything's perfect now, far from it, but because this chapter is closing. Finally. It's been 4 months since I first found out my sister used my identity to buy a house I'd never seen. 2 months since I learned it was all part of a scam. And last week, I sat in a courtroom and gave a statement that helped indict her. Let me walk you through how we got here. Todd was arrested first. Turns out, the real estate scam wasn't just one house, it was 5. All under different names, using a mix of real and fake identities, some borrowed, some stolen. Becca's name wasn't on most of them, but her signature was all over the forged loan paperwork on mine. When they questioned her, she broke. She tried to blame Todd for everything, said he manipulated her, said she thought it was a business opportunity. Claimed she didn't know the mortgage was in my name. But the evidence said otherwise. Email chains. Voicemails. Bank records. Her handwriting on forged docs. She'd been involved from day one. The DA offered her a plea deal. She took it. She's getting 3 years probation, plus restitution payments, though let's be honest, I'll be shocked if I ever see a cent. Todd is looking at real jail time. Federal charges. He's already on house arrest awaiting trial. The house was repossessed. Foreclosed. It'll probably be auctioned off in some quiet online listing, and someone else will inherit its busted gutters and moldy drywall. Good riddance. The best part. The bank, finally, cleared me. After months of back and forth, formal investigation, and pressure from my lawyer, they issued a notarized letter confirming the fraud. My name is no longer associated with the mortgage. The HOA suit dropped instantly. Credit's still a mess, but I can work with that. You can't scrub a whole identity clean overnight, but you can start over. Piece by piece. A few of you asked if my family ever came around. If they ever apologized. Short answer, no. My mom sent a long text after the plea deal went public. Said something like, "I just wish you hadn't taken it this far." As if I hadn't already given them every chance to make it right. My dad. Silence. Not a word. I don't expect to hear from him again. And Becca. She sent a letter. Handwritten. 3 pages. She said she was sorry. Said she was scared. Said she didn't know how else to fix their situation and didn't think it would go this far. She wrote, "I didn't mean to hurt you." And the sad part is, I think that's true, in the same way a thief doesn't mean to hurt the person they steal from. They just don't care enough to stop. I didn't write back. Because I've stopped trying to turn pain into reconciliation. Some people walk out of your life like they're just going to the store and coming back. Others walk out and leave a crater. And you spend months trying to build a bridge over that crater, only to realize, maybe the bridge doesn't need to exist. Maybe you walk the other way. So that's what I'm doing. I'm in a new city now. Rented a small, quiet place near the water. Different air. Different light. I changed my phone number. Got a P.O. box. Got a new bank. I keep everything locked down like a paranoid secret agent. And honestly, it helps. The rituals of rebuilding make you feel like you own yourself again. I've started painting. Never thought I would. But one day I bought a cheap brush set and a canvas at a thrift store. Now I spend a few hours every weekend just throwing color at things and seeing what sticks. It's not about talent, it's about quiet. And after all the noise, I need a lot of that. Work is stable. A few clients dropped off during the chaos, but the good ones stayed. Turns out, honesty goes a long way. One even sent me a care package during the worst of it. Granola bars and a candle and a note that said, "You're not crazy, the world is." That meant more than they probably know. And this community. You saved me. Not with sympathy, with clarity. You told me the truth I didn't want to hear when I was still hoping love would outweigh facts. You reminded me that I matter. That boundaries aren't cruelty. That silence isn't peace. Some people asked if I regret pressing charges. If I miss my sister. If I'll ever forgive her. Here's what I know. Forgiveness isn't about pretending it didn't happen. It's about deciding not to let what happened control you forever. And yeah, I forgive her. But I don't want her in my life. And I think that's okay. There's a version of myself I used to carry around, the good son, the quiet one, the helper, the fixer. That version tried so hard to keep the boat from rocking that he let himself drown. I buried him. I'm not the same person anymore. And I don't want to be. Thanks for everything, Reddit. If you're going through something like this, just know, it doesn't matter who they are, sibling, spouse, parent, if they use your love as a weapon, you have the right to walk away. You don't owe anyone your destruction. You deserve your own life. I finally have mine back. And I'm not giving it up again.